So this lady asks, this black lady, are white women really that scared of black women? And I'm going to say yes. And this is my opinion as a white woman who is 53 years old and has lived in the South in Georgia in my entire life. But it's not being scared, but it's a fear. And it's not a physical fear. It is the mental fear. It is what we see in you and what we see you doing and how it challenges us and the fear of that. So we see black women and we see how strong you are. We see you coming together as a community. We see you supporting each other. We see you supporting your community, supporting your families, supporting your children, going out and fighting for your rights, being authentic in your race and in your femininity. Anyway. And we're jealous.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Yeah, so in today's episode, let me just say this. I'm very happy to be doing this episode, and I'm very glad to be doing this episode. Why? Because let me just begin by saying I really want to appreciate these palm-colored women for coming out and saying something that we don't hear oftenly.
Yeah.
And they really were honest about what they were saying.
Yeah, so in this video, most of them speak of what a black woman's image represents to them and how it makes them feel, and most importantly, why they feel jealous of the black women, even though this is not an admission they would like to console with in a regular basis.
You know, guys, we won't speak a lot. Let's just watch this clip and then we come back and talk about it. If you have a comment, kindly leave it on the comment section and let's have an interactive platform segment, right? Let's watch.
I think we're jealous because we would love to be that, I think, and we don't know how to break out of the indoctrination that we have been suppressed by our entire lives. And I'm not giving white women a pass, don't get me wrong, but I know I and most women have been told, white women have been told our entire lives, be quiet, know your place, be a good girl, don't rock the boat, don't be too much. And when you are any of those things, you are ostracized because you have rocked their boat. And that is what black women are. You rock our boat, our mental boat, because you challenge us to look at how we are deficient and not living in our truth, and it makes us uncomfortable. And people don't like to be uncomfortable. And it makes us start to question ourselves, and people don't like to question themselves. We would rather live in our little bubble of white supremacy and what we know and comfortableness. I know that's not a word. Than a lot of people would, white women would, rather than challenge themselves to grow and know more, because it's easy. Doing the work is hard. It's really hard. I've been doing the work the past several years, and it's hard. It is hard admitting some truths about yourself and some truths about yourself as a white woman. So yeah, I think that white women are scared of black women because you challenge us in that way, and a lot of us don't like it, and that's why we fear you. It's because we fear what you make us face.
I have a theory about why black women and white women are having such a hard time getting along, and it starts with a story. When I first started teaching, I was in a teacher training program with 3 other women. 2 of them were black and 1 of them was Indian, and we started teaching at the same school, the same grade, at the same time. One of these women, a black woman, completely excelled. She did so much better than I did at literally everything. Classroom management, her test scores were high. She was excellent at literally everything. And something about her excellence didn't sit right with me. I just didn't feel good about it, and I couldn't figure out why I didn't feel good about it. It was internalized racism, but I didn't know that yet. So I had to sit with this idea of her being better than me and trying to figure out why it didn't feel good and feel comfortable for me. And of course, at the time, I didn't know that I needed to do the work of anti-racism, so I didn't think it was possibly because I could have internalized racism. I had to do a lot of study and thought about myself and what could possibly be making me feel this way about this woman. And here's what I discovered. Most of the media that I had consumed up to that point in my life had white people as the central characters. And the shows and other media that I consumed that had white women at the central characters often had black women as the side characters. These black women's role in these movies was to assist the white women, support the white women, advise the white women, but never to rise above the white women. Even shows that were about black women, like The Help, had white women as the central character and the black women as supporting characters. So I internalized the idea that black women were there to support me and to advise me, but not to rise above or become better than me. And that's why when this black teacher was way better and more talented than me, I felt some kind of way about it. Now, I'd imagine lots and lots more white women have also internalized the same idea, and that's why they feel okay stealing black women's content and not giving them any credit, because the black women are just there to advise them anyway. But most black women are natural leaders. Society has forced them to become leaders. And so we need to step aside and let them lead. Even if it means checking our privilege and letting them lead us.
This is not an attack on white women. This is simply
I live between 3 countries, and she's not lying, especially European women. I have friends from Europe, so I am not racist. I am just simply giving my experience. Most people globally have watched African American women and women of African descent on TV, and they think that that is how all African American women behave. So when they meet a woman who's educated, well-spoken, beautiful, well-manicured, they don't know how to handle it. They also are extremely jealous that their husbands, their fathers, their uncles, all of the men in their lives literally stare at you the entire time that you are out in a restaurant or wherever you are, market. They are highly attracted to women of African descent. White women do not know how to handle this. In America, I have experienced this in corporate America, but in Europe, you experience this in the markets. They literally act like toddlers or mean girls.
I have a theory about why black women and white women are having such a hard time getting.
I have a theory about white people who decide to theorize their dislike for black people as if the answer isn't just plain old race. Black women and white women aren't having a hard time getting along. Black women are trying to navigate through spaces, and unfortunately they have to deal with people like you who decide that it's necessary to theorize your dislike for black people instead of just saying, yeah, it was plain up race. And then to follow that up with that you saw in the media that white people were the main character and black women were the side characters. I mean, doesn't art imitate life? You didn't learn it from media. You learned it from life. Why do you guys shift the blame? Why can't you don't even say in general that you said you internalized. And that feels like a symptom of white guilt, the over-theorizing, and then not just being able to say, I was being racist.
I have a theory about why black women and white women are having such a hard time getting.
This video is really fascinating because it demonstrates the tie between self-esteem and racism. And I've said before on my page that kind of racism creates a world where white people get to outsource their insecurity and their fears onto black people, that black people become the reservoir that have to hold all of white people's discomfort about themselves. And, the function of white supremacy is to create an underclass of people who white people can compare themselves to and say, at least I'm always better than them. And, we see this in corporate America where it's harder for black women to get promoted even when they're excellent because they're seen as threatening. There's actually a theory around this, and it's called pet to threat, and it was created by Dr. Keisha Thomas. And so it's interesting that the research even shows, there's some tie between black people and black women being excellent and also them being socially and societally rejected. Anti-racism requires emotional awareness.
So guys, welcome back. Let me just address the first lady who spoke about, she gave us let me just speak for ourselves or myself. When she spoke, she gave me a very unique perspective to get to see how their brain works. So when they look at black women, what they see is
a literal representation of what black women do, what they themselves cannot do or are limited to doing in their society. Because the first lady says that they're limited to doing this and that, but black women go against those limitations or beyond those limitations. And my explanation is because black women have had to prove themselves 10 times against their counterparts if they're white, because they need to be 10 times better in order for them to be accepted in a job or to be seen or to receive a certain promotion.
Yeah, so you guys, when you're sitting back there, ladies, men, people of color, when you're sitting back there and you're admiring a palm-colored woman's life, just sit there and know they're also admiring your own
life.
Because the woman said something very important. She mentioned something about how they were indoctrinated and how they were taught, they're married to the supremacists themselves. The man who created the systemic racism, the man who created classism and discrimination, and she says they were never allowed to express themselves. They were always taught to know their places.
They're taught to sit quietly and be good girls.
Exactly what I'm saying.
And black women have been taught to go out and look for what they want, conquer the world.
Right. So you guys, I don't know, you tell me what you think about this episode, because I found this quite interesting, especially as an African girl, hearing how they think of black people in America,
and yet I'm like, black people are there feeling, especially women, feeling like they're less than, but low-key they don't even know that the white ladies admire what they are. And another lady said, this one was the black lady, the black sister, she said that African Americans, whenever white people, Europeans and Americans alike, they admire black people, and whenever black people tend to walk in the room, particularly ladies, all the white men will be looking at them like
and staring,
right? So and this makes white women feel very jealous of black women
and insecure.
And this would be even demonstrated back in the day of slavery. White women would even deny black women showers and soaps so that they could be stinky and disgusting, yet
to dehumanize
them. Yet their husband would still go out in the sheds to do you guys know. So that's where the black woman she says that's where the jealousy stems from.
Another thing I have to say, if you guys notice these videos on TikTok where black creators try to create videos and they're wearing their natural hair or afros, and then when they walk in a certain street abroad, of course, and the white people, the way they turn to look,
both men and women alike,
right? So you're here hating your hair, but then they're there loving everything about you and being curious about you,
And you know what there's a saying I usually like when African Americans say it, that white people's hair, they can't fight gravity, but our hair is glorious because it's able to fight gravity.
Right.
That was the first time I heard that saying from an African American. I had never looked at things from that point of view, to be quite honest with you.
Another thing, the account of the second woman, when she talks about when she had the black co-worker and she was excelling in everything. Do you know, I feel like this is happening because these palm-colored women, they never had to fight for anything, and when you're raised being spoon-fed, you won't know the importance and you won't work hard for it because it will always
you take
come
advantage
to you.
I mean, you don't take advantage of everything that is in access to you because it automatically comes to you. For instance, when I go for a job interview and I have a counterpart, a white person who goes to the same job interview with me, they are most likely to be considered for that job before me, So it comes easy to them, and that's why they don't work you know,
You guys,
has
you
had
remember us doing an episode about what white people love about. I recommend you go watch that episode. If not,
strongly.
what white people love about black people. And guys, they said a whole long list of things. And what the point I want to bring in this video is when they said when a black person stands up to sing, they do it from the soul. It is very spiritual. And when anything a black person does, it's very spiritual.
Glorious.
Exactly. When they sing, when they cook,
they touch you with the hand of healing.
You know. So you guys ask yourself where all this is coming from. You understand? And a white person can't stand and move a crowd the way a black person would. And it's why they say black people have personality. You ask yourself, Black America, ask yourself why it is that even despite being characterized as gangsters, as this and that negatively
your culture
in the media,
your culture is still impacting the whole world.
Not just
it's
in
still
Africa,
being embraced
Africans
by the whole world.
Exactly. Africans are trying to be like Black Americans. They're trying to dress like Black Americans. If you look at the Latinas, they're also not far. They dress like Black Americans.
They bounce like Black Americans.
You know.
Anyway, our point is,
if everybody is emulating the whole world is trying to emulate and steal from Black Americans, even the soul music.
Yeah. Yet the white media is trying its level best to portray how Black America is dangerous, yet the world is still trying to emulate their culture.
Imagine what it does to the white supremacists.
Yeah, because this woman also says, what makes white people jealous is the fact that Black people can be able to go for cookouts, you know, just socialize, be genuine with each other. That warm feeling, they support each other, this brotherhood, sisterhood in the Black community. Yet in the white community, that doesn't exist. Like, they don't even check up on each other like that. You know? That is it.
It's always some kind of competition with them.
Yeah, so guys, I mean, you guys do a pretty good job, and you should be, you know, good for what you should pat yourselves in the back for what you've been able to achieve.
Right. Let's just say this is us giving you your flowers while we all still exist, right? Because I do believe there are people who systemic racism and white supremacy and indoctrination has really worked on them, and there's some brothers and sisters who truly genuinely do practice self-hate. You understand?
Right.
They don't
But all said and done, you guys, please just let us know what you think about this episode, your views on where the jealousy stems from. But please remember to be very, very respectful on the comments section. And we'll see you on our next episode. But
subscribe if you have not.
Yes, to help the channel grow further. We'll see you on our next episode.